welcome back to Notes of a Pianist. This is my practice session. This is going to be a longer video, but it's going to show you kind of more in depth about what I do to practice piano. I always start, like many other people, with scales because scales warm up your fingers and your mind to get ready to play more complicated things. This is my C scale with arpeggios. So I work on the arpeggios that I know, but I'm currently in the process of learning arpeggios. So this is the one that I'm learning this week. I know C, G, and D, and I'm learning F and B flat this week. So my F is going to sound something like this. We'll see, this is my first time really doing it. So it's kind of about that learning process. So I start getting into the new arpeggios that I might be learning that week. And see, only after a couple tries, I already have it. And basically I just work on my arpeggios and my other two octaves that I haven't gotten to the arpeggio part yet, so overall just working on my scales. After doing my scales, I go into the next part of my practice, which is exercising my fingers more technically. I use the book Fingerpower. I passed 4 exercises last week, and I finished the book, so what I usually do is I go over the exercises that I passed the previous week, kind of just to review them a little bit and polish them a little bit more and get in some extra technical practice. That's really helped me a lot, is just going over the pieces that I've already passed the week before. So after doing Fingerpower, I move on to this new book that I transitioned to this week. So I was told by my teacher to do the first 5 pages. So So I'm going to be learning a dozen of these in 1 week. So I'm just going to start doing the exercises. The beginning are fairly simple, and they're really just to help build your technical development and just your fingers before actually starting to practice songs. This is the first one. It asks for me to do it in staccato as well, but I'm going to move on to the next exercise and not confuse my brain with doing legato and staccato on the same day at least. Before I get into the next exercise that I'm going to be doing, I just want to say that even if you're not better than you were the day before when you practiced, it matters that you're showing up to practice, because I can guarantee you that if you are practicing every day of the week and you go to practice with your teacher once a week, you will be better than the previous week if you practice every day. It's not about being necessarily better than you were the day before, it's about showing up. And that probably sounds really cliche, but it works. So this is it. And let's learn another one. This one should sound like this. this one's legato. I think that on YouTube, it might look like somebody just did it right on the first try. I can guarantee you that is usually not the case, especially for pieces and not necessarily exercises. On my channel, I want to be really real. When I do stuff, it is not perfect the first time, usually ever. So take a word of advice. Don't feel bad if you don't get it on the first try, because honestly, none of us ever do. But it should sound something like this. And this next one is chords, so I'm going to do this one. This is going to be really slow because chords are not my strong suit. Obviously, that was not good, so I'm going to fix it, and then I'm going to get back to you. And this is it closer to being perfect. So yeah, it's just about practicing those. And I need to be honest, doing a YouTube channel for piano, it's like I'm here and I'm doing it perfectly when I'm not recording myself, and then I mess it up when I'm recording, and that's just so funny. So yeah, it's not always a perfect practice either. It's about commitment and progress and determination. Oh my gosh, I literally sound like I'm giving you guys a motivation speech. So as I said before, I like to go back in and go over the songs that I did the week before and that I passed the week before. So that's what I'm going to do here and now. So after I review the pieces that I passed the previous week, I go ahead and move into the songs that I'm learning the next week or this week. So for a song like this where there's a lot of left hand movement, I usually like to break up the two hands. For songs like Swan Lake, songs like that where there's a lot of left hand movement and right hand movement at the same time, I like to break them up too. We can see that there's a lot of left hand movement here, so I'm going to break it up, and I'm always going to start by looking at the time signature and the sharps in that to make sure that I know what I'm doing, because I used to have the most terrible habit when I was a beginner that I would never look at the sharps or the time signature, and I would end up messing up the whole song. So yeah, I'm going to just start with the right hand on the first two lines is what I always do. I just break it up in pieces because it makes it a lot easier to digest. Another tip is to always count. So I'm obviously going to mess up, but this is what it's going to sound like. 1, 2, 3, and 4, and 1, and 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, and 4, and 1, 2, 3, 1, and 2, 3, 4. 1, and 2, 3, 4. 1, and 2, 3, 4. So it should sound something along those lines. And now I'm just going to add the left hand in. So obviously you're going to make mistakes, but just make sure you're taking it slow and give yourself grace. You're not going to get it perfectly on the first try. I literally never do. So because like I said, this song has a lot of left hand movement and it takes a lot to absorb, I'm going to do this one and learn it with the span of a couple days and not do it in one day, because I also have another song to learn and then I'm done with the book. So I have time this week to learn these songs. So I'm going to take it slow and make sure that I pass it well. It ultimately should sound something like this. that's basically what it sounds with the left and the right hand together. But obviously made a couple mistakes. I literally just started learning it like 5 minutes ago, even though there were cuts. But like I said, piano's not perfect. It takes time to learn these things. So yeah. I'm gonna just learn this last line, which I just did. I'm just gonna get a little bit more of a hang of it, and then I'll show you the last line. Also, another thing I recommend, don't add in the dynamics yet until you have got the notes down. That's just a thing that I do so that I don't overwhelm myself. Like if I'm trying to nail the dynamics and I'm obviously failing because I'm too focused on getting the notes right, I'm not gonna sit here and pressure myself. Oh, I have to get the dynamics right. I have to get the dynamics right. Get the dynamics right after you know the notes of the song. Take your time. Take your time learning it so that it doesn't sound bad at the end. Because if you try to add in all the dynamics when the song isn't even done yet, and when you're not 100% sure of the chords, or at least like 80-90%, then the dynamics are just going to be failed. Don't overwhelm yourself. Break it up in pieces. So after I learn songs from my book, then I take a halfway mark break, because then the other half of my practice are classical pieces. So you need a break at this point. So this is when I like drink water, I hang out with my cat, watch TV, read a book. This is just when I take a break. So now that we're back, the next thing that I go into is I go into practicing my classical pieces. My main genre is classical music, so I pick out something I'm gonna learn. Right now I'm learning a song called The Promise by Nate and Samuel, and this is for a recital that I'm doing. I absolutely love this song, so I'm learning it. Before I perform it, I just want to go over a couple tips that I find useful when learning classical music. The first one is to always go slow. Classical music is the most complex genre of music that you can play. So sitting here and trying to speed through it, especially while you're sight reading, you're going to mess up the notes, you're going to mess up the dynamics. Take your time and start slow always. It'll really help you in the long run with learning classical music. So here is Somewhat. The next part is very hard and fast, so don't judge, okay? And this is somewhat of what I know. Obviously, it's not perfect. I learned this in like 2 weeks, but the point is like I said, showing up, classical music can definitely be very discouraging at times. But remember, if you're a classical pianist like me, you're not alone. There's tons of other classical pianists who literally have the same goals and aspirations like you as I do. So just follow for more classical information, classical covers, and classical tips, and really tips that will benefit people who don't play classical music as well. Follow for more, and I hope to see you in the next video. Thank you so much for joining me as I practice piano today. Bye!